everybody. This is Kat,
And this is Cherry.
and you're listening to Keeping It Creepy with Cherry and Kat.
Woo!
I am actually surprisingly awake today because we had a minor, very minor earthquake at like 4 in the morning. And it woke me up. I'm not in a really earthquake heavy part of Japan.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could count on one hand the number of times I've noticed an earthquake. Apparently we get them fairly frequently, just really microscopic ones, but I usually have to be like laying in bed, or sometimes if I'm sitting in the car when it's parked, the car will sway because of the tires, I guess.
Oh.
But I don't usually notice them. Only one time, one about the first month that I moved here, there was one that was definitely noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff bounced. Nothing like fell off a table or anything. It still wasn't. It was like intense for our area, but still like a very mild earthquake. But they freaked me out a little bit, so I couldn't go back to sleep. So I've just been up getting ready to record about bodies.
I mean, I would also be a bit freaked out because we are not West Coast girlies. We are not earthquake zone girlies. No, we are not.
So we had one earthquake in our area that was like an anomaly, and it was like on the news.
Yeah,
it was a huge deal. Where were you in the earthquake of?
And I didn't even feel it because I was driving. I was driving home from work. Didn't even notice. Had no idea.
I pulled up to the Home Depot and everyone was freaked out. I didn't understand why. It was the whole thing.
What's going on? Mom got home and mom was like, did you feel it? I was like, feel what? Earthquake? Never. Ooh, bodies.
Yes.
I've been trying to make sense of this title and it's not. I mean, there were bodies and bodies. So,
it's for the game. It's the game.
Oh, that's right. Duh. I totally have a note.
And I have heard of this game before. So this is like a game, I think, like a real game.
Okay, like a real game. Like they didn't make it up for the movie. It actually people play this. Okay.
Yes.
That's fair. It seems like fun. It seemed like a fun game.
It's just crawling, and I think even one of the characters calls it it's crawling on the floor werewolf, or mafia.
Oh, right.
So it's the same game except you crawl around on the floor in the dark.
That's fair.
Just to add an extra
extra layer of difficulty.
Yes, I guess.
I used to play. I mean, I played this game in high school called Assassin, but you just sat in a circle.
Yeah, like Werewolf and Mafia. I feel like these are all the same.
Or they are probably all the same game. Yeah.
Jinroku. My kids play it at school.
Interesting. Okay. You sit in a circle.
Jinro. Yeah, they have their own rules though. They have bizarre. They have a ton.
Well, it's Japan. Japan always does the most, and it's somehow always cooler than everything else we do.
It's pretty cool.
Okay,
right,
so
do we have our spoiler-free synopsis? Take it away.
I'm winging it as usual, of course.
Of course.
Absolutely. So Bodies is about this group of friends. They are clearly like early 20s. We know for a fact a couple of them are in college, and they just seem like they give 19 to 25-year-old vibes is what I'm gonna say. Like no one here has like a full-on grown-up job yet, I don't think. Anyway, they're given early 20s vibes. So a group of friends, early 20s, are at one of their friends' like, I don't know if it's like his regular house where he lives on a regular basis or a vacation home. Either way, these are all like super rich to upper middle class kids. None of them live regular lives, right? And they are they're like hanging out together at this house, having a sleepover at this giant mansion. There's a hurricane coming, and they go to play this game during the hurricane called Bodies. And once the game starts, shit goes awry. There are bodies.
So, there are bodies. A couple things I want to clarify before we even roll into spoiler territory is that clearly from the script, from the synopsis, from the vibes, they are supposed to be early 20s.
Yes.
Like probably, I would say 25 is too old.
Me too, actually. I would say 25 is too old.
Mm-hmm. I would say maybe 23 max.
Yes, I agree.
We're talking 21 to 23.
Yeah, I agree.
Except the men.
Except the men, yes. Even though...
But they're still supposed to be in their 20s.
Well, not... But
they Well,
Greg,
not
right?
one guy.
No.
There's one guy who is in the script older,
Yes.
but the other two guys, and they say explicitly, these are all like childhood friends, basically,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
with two exceptions, and like two new partners, like a new girlfriend and a new boyfriend, are not part of this friend group. But the core friend group has been friends for ever. This is not a spoiler. It's literally as soon as they roll up.
Yeah, yeah.
And they talk about growing up together, going to school together. But these men are at least 15 years older than these girls.
Yeah, they are.
And it's actually, I knew Pete Davidson was in a movie. I mean, he's in movies, right? He does movies. I don't know.
He does movies. Yeah,
I knew he was in like a horror movie.
No, he had. There was a movie that was like based on his life. I think. Don't quote me on that, y'all. I just realized I don't know. There's a movie where his like firefighter father dies, and I want to say that that's like based on Pete Davidson's actual life, but don't quote me on that. I could be dead wrong.
Everything I've learned about Pete Davidson has been against my will. I have never wanted to learn anything about this man. I try to keep my Pete Davidson exposure to a minimal. And and I'm upset that I know so much about him just from this movie, but I do. But Pete Davidson isn't that, but he's like 30, at IRL, but
yeah.
I think he's an SNL guy. They do a lot of drugs.
He is an
Dude
SNL
looks
guy.
40.
Yeah.
Dude looks 40. Easy 40.
Yeah, easy 40, but I don't think he is. Yeah. I agree.
No, the men in this are much older than the girls, and then look possibly even older than they are. And so the whole premise for the script really kind of threw me from the very jump, because I think the first line out of his mouth is like, "Oh, it's my parents' house." I was like, "You're 40." Like, that's a bit much. But yeah, I don't know. There's that, which was a little bit odd. And even it's in the synopsis, they're supposed to be at this house for a hurricane party.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. I thought it was like that was the goal, was to party during this hurricane.
Yeah,
I mean,
so specifically they're there to party while the hurricane is going. Which isn't communicated very well in the script, because obviously at some point the lights are going to go out. It's a hurricane.
Yes.
And they act so fucking surprised. Like,
well, when you're rich and spoiled,
the most shocking thing that's ever happened.
They are rich and they are spoiled, and clearly they were not well prepared for life, is what I'm going to go with, because
I don't know. I feel like if you go to a hurricane party, half the fun is like, oh, the lights are going to go out,
which also is wild.
A bunch of
because like
parties.
The bodies game, you're supposed to play in the dark anyway, and so at first I thought,
which I thought was the point was.
I might get into spoilers.
Now we're getting into spoiler territory. Okay, so spoiler warning.
Yes.
Spoiler warning from this point on. If you're gonna watch this movie, you should pause here, go watch it, and then come back. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Bodies is the most misleading fucking title that I've ever seen, because they play that game for literally 2 minutes, and then they never play it again.
But there were multiple bodies. I mean, by the end.
No, that's.
They had plenty of bodies.
That is shenanigans. That is false advertising. Absolutely not. You don't give me a whole ass movie about a game and then not give me the game. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? Did you see Cry Wolf?
I did not. Did Cry Wolf?
Cry Wolf's about them playing werewolf, basically.
Oh, okay.
And then there's real murders. It's actually very close to this movie. And then there's real murders, except that it does kind of tie together, where it is kind of an extension of the game.
Yeah.
Even though people really die, but it is actually tied into. But I mean, they spend a bunch of time lampooning this, like, oh, it has nothing to do with the game. That's the title. Like, shut up. This movie was so smug that I kind of enjoyed the beginning. I kind of enjoyed towards the middle. I was like, oh, okay. And then towards the end, I was like, can everybody shut the fuck up? Can you just shut up?
I enjoy. Okay, and I don't know if this is a correct assumption or not. I enjoyed watching these rich, spoiled, early 20-somethings who have grown up completely out of touch with life, like continue to flail at just functioning under pressure. Like, they crumbled so fast. Like, I was enjoying watching them fail. Like, I had a good time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love the structure of it. I love the structure of it. And I think that their interactions are really good. Like, I think as far as the casting went, I believed
Yeah.
that they were this like toxic, fucked up friend group that, you know, they get
Yes.
trashed, they tear each other down. And then at the end of the day, they're all still just friends. Like they just let it go and they just move on and do another line of coke. Like I absolutely bought the dynamic. I think that the major plot points or the major story beats between them were great. It's the actual dialogue. They spend so much time. I think they really needed an editor because they spend so much time being like Zennial dunking on Gen Z's, like a quippy, quip, 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 quip. Every line has to be a quip, and it was like every line doesn't have to be a quip.
It
could be,
doesn't.
you want to drop enough of them.
But it's A24, and I just accepted that, you know, maybe somehow in their minds that made sense.
You know what? For an A24 horror movie, I really dug this. Actually, it gets like an extra couple points, but that's not that's that shouldn't be the standard. There's overall I think it's good. There were some like weird, because I think this is like a first time director thing. And there were a couple things where they shot the scenes kind of weird. And like at the beginning, they pop champagne, right?
Yeah.
Right before the storm hits, and they're pouring glasses of champagne. And I was like, there's 6 people. They pour 4 glasses and stop. And then they go over to the 2 new girls, the lesbian couple, and go, oh, would you like some champagne? And they go, oh, no, we won't drink. I knew you wouldn't drink any because you only poured 4 glasses.
Because you only poured 4 glasses, yeah.
Just like little dumb things where I was like, why'd you shoot it like that? Like, you're being, you know, it was just, it wasn't sensible. I also thought Jordan, who is not our main Black girl, but our friend Black girl, was not meant to be Black.
She was.
I don't know this
agree.
for sure.
Because
there's no way
her behavior was. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. You got me on this checking the ages, but when we get to the men, I will answer what I just.
Oh, good. Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking.
Well, yeah, obviously the way that she's written, I think, I mean, and you could say, oh, well, they're trying to go Joanne from Rent, like making her uptight and super intellectual or something.
Yeah, but
there's specifically a point where Sophie goes off about being the only Black girl in front of this other Black girl, and no one calls her on it.
No one calls her on it.
No one's like, just point in the corner. She's right. Oh, no,
but
okay.
Jordan.
No, because she wasn't written to be Black.
But Jordan, because right, it's like Jordan, who's been in the group the whole time.
She's over there.
Who's always been Black.
yeah. I assume she has always been Black. Yes, that was my assumption.
Because they didn't acknowledge it.
And at the beginning, when the rain starts coming down, Jordan's hair is not particularly styled, so I will let this go. But there is no way Sophie, with her cute little blonde braids, is going to stand there under hurricane winds and let her hair get fucked up.
No,
absolutely not.
No.
The minute that rain came down, and she wasn't like, oh. She was just like, ha! No, absolutely not. I do not buy. You did not write this for a woman with that type of hair.
Not at all.
We can talk about the men now.
Okay,
we can talk about the men.
You got me curious about their ages, right? And one thing I noticed, I was absolutely correct about. Greg, the older of the guys, is, well, the actor. I was like, we felt, you know, he felt 40-ish, right? He felt 40-ish. His character felt 40-ish, which is gross because he's dating like a 22-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, he is literally my age. Like, he was born probably 2 weeks before I was. So,
well, I mean,
Greg is definitely.
You don't look your age.
I don't look my age. That's true for those who are looking at like. But Sherry, I'm 44. For those who don't know, I'm not ashamed of it because I don't look it. So. So yeah. So Greg definitely was in his 40s. Pete Davidson will be 30 this year.
That man looks 40. I'm sorry.
According to IMDb,
knock off the crap.
His birthday is November. He was born in 1993. He is months from 30 years old, which means, based on the rest of this so far of the girls, the youngest is Amandla. They were born in 98. The rest I'm looking at are like 96, 95, 90, 94. So he's not actually, he's not actually that much older than they are. He just looks.
Well, he's still too old to be going to high school with them though. And his movie girlfriend is his real life girlfriend, which I always hate. Like, not that they didn't have good chemistry. They were fine in what they are, but I always feel like when I see that in a movie, it's always like a weird situation where I was like, all right, well, who got you the job? Did Pete Davidson get the job or did she get you the job? Like, who got who the job? Somebody got the job. Yeah, clearly. Anyway, I didn't even think he was that bad. I thought the casting was fine. I didn't have any problems with anybody except for the fact that the men were really old. Okay, so jumping ahead, Max, when we finally see him, Max is 35.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Max is 35.
And he looked it.
But he's supposed to have gone to school with them and he's supposed to be their age. Like, stop. See, and I think the reason this bothers me so much is because the movie tries to be cute when Pete Davidson is like, oh, Greg's like 40. It's so gross he's dating. Bitch, you're like 30. Your other friend's 35. Y'all are all fucking 40. Y'all are all gross and hanging out with these little girls, which is exactly what you're doing in real life. So like, what the fuck are you doing? And you know what? Not to take the agency away from the girls. If some cute little actress wants to date some crumbled up comedian, then that's on her. But I just don't act like you're superior and better than this when you are absolutely like, this movie is exactly Hollywood. Like, this is exactly what they do. You get these 30, 40-year-old dudes who are just kind of gross but have influence or money, and then they hang out with these 20-year-olds. But that's not what the movie's saying. The movie is saying that everybody's on the same playing field except Greg. But they're all Gregs. They're all Gregs. Yeah.
That's concerning. I didn't think. Now I'm intrigued. Now I got to rethink this whole movie if the directors are women because
yeah, both. Yeah. I double checked because there was a point where I was like, let me check this real quick. And I did. Anyway, you were going to your next point.
So I before they told us how old they were, I definitely thought these girls were teenagers. And I was like, Pete Davidson's a grown man, but like, I don't know. B, the outsider girl, I can't call her that. But Sophie's girlfriend, the one who was all Greg,
new girlfriend.
Greg and B are the only two outsiders to the group. B gave me such bad vibes like the whole time, and I don't know why. Like, I just was so wary of her, and now I know for no reason, but like I don't know, something about her just, and I don't know if it was supposed to be like that I like just didn't trust her.
I think so, because when they introduced her, either Jordan or maybe Alice, one of the bitchy girls goes, oh, she's cute. She gives me like school shooter vibes. Oh, but like in a cute way. So I feel like we're supposed to, think she's kind of sus. I wasn't that sus about her till she puts makeup on after the blood.
Yes.
Greg.
Like, what is wrong with you?
You know what? You want to steal this rich girl's sweater? You take it. Of course you want to wash the blood off. You go for it. But then when she maybe put the perfume on because you smell like blood. Okay. But then the lip gloss? No, girl. No, that's too much.
That's too much.
So from that point, I was like, that's a little. But I mean, I guess you are supposed to think she's a little sus because she's dating Sophie, who is a lot sus. But neither of them are murderers. They're just both weirdos.
Yeah, and Sophie's sus was more like, even though the other spoiled rich kids acted like Sophie was so different, when Sophie gets angry with them and is like, when I do coke, it's a problem and I have to go to rehab. When you all do coke, it's just a regular Tuesday. Like, I felt her on that because to me, she acted just like the rest of them, but they treated her like she was like a pariah. You know what I mean? Like, she had like broken the friend code at some point. And then I was like, we all are all the same.
Right. Right. But they're all equally evil to each other. And I think that would have been a great commentary on like race if Jordan hadn't also been Black.
Yeah. Right. Because that was a commentary on race. Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you do colorblind casting with a commentary on race. You can't do both. Like, not that I thought Jordan was great, but you need to do adjust for script then. I wish they had seen a single TikTok dance video before pretending to record one, was my note. A single one. Just one. If you download TikTok, your initial algorithm will give you nothing but dance videos till you tell it otherwise.
Yep.
I feel like they could have done it. These kids are young enough. Surely they have a TikTok. Surely they understand what the kids do when they're talking. I feel like this is a director thing. I feel like the director told them to do it that way. Because it's that's not what that looks like. All you got to do is go somewhere in public. You see people do a million of them.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Because they're not only, so they're supposed to be doing this TikTok. None of them were doing the same thing. Like, not really. At first I thought they were going to like do it and then see how like they weren't like synced at all and be like, oh my God, so funny, we need to do it over again. No, they were like, oh, post it looks good. Like, no, it doesn't. You weren't doing the same dance.
It's like two of them were doing the same dance, like not perfectly coordinated, and that's fine because TikToks aren't like that.
Yeah.
But like two of them were, and two of them were doing completely different things, and they were all in the same frame. And it's not like perfectly on, in frame shot where we're seeing this. It's from B's perspective, but they're definitely supposed to be like, we're the cool drug kids, cool drug rich kids. Like, it's supposed to be a moment for us to like feel like B and want to be part of the group. And I'm just watching it like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you look like, I don't know. It just didn't, I just wanted them to try to have a little bit of realism. If your whole movie major plot focuses around making TikToks, perhaps you should try to watch some TikToks first.
Right? Because it was a mess.
I got the girls with long brown hair confused for a while till the first one died. Like, I just got them confused the whole time.
Yeah.
Alice and Emma.
I still don't know if I know the difference.
One of them is alive long enough to be really annoying, and the other one dies while just being regular annoying. That's the differentiation.
Got it.
Really.
I don't think I knew the difference until the one who, Emma, I think is the one they find like under the sheets, like hiding or sleeping or whatever. And that's when I knew the difference, only because they said her name and I was like, oh, okay. That one. At some point, I don't even know where this is because I color code my notes so that my thoughts are one color and this like summary is like a different color. I was just like, is David a vampire? Why is he so ghostly?
That's just Pete Davidson, I suppose. He just looked like that.
But he was like, I know people joke that like white people are like, oh, 8.5 by 11s, like whatever. He was literally a sheet of paper white at one point in one scene. And I was like, what is he? Because, I genuinely didn't know anything about this movie.
It's the drugs.
He was the whitest. I've never seen a white person that white before in real life.
Listen, I have, and it's drugs. This is what, if you look at old pictures of like Macaulay Culkin, like he looks like this when he was looking real rough. It's literally drugs. Hey, allegedly, should I say that? Don't
allegedly.
Sue me, Pete Davidson.
Allegedly.
I got no money. Anyway,
we don't know if he's on drugs. We don't matter. We don't know what he's doing in life. But
we don't matter. I don't know what this man is doing. But if I had to guess at what this man is doing, every time I see a picture of him with surprisingly hot, famous women, it's always him looking like this pale, coked out gremlin in a hoodie and some gorgeous woman next to him. And it's just, that's his aesthetic. That's what he looks like. He looks like a grouper. Like you pulled him out of the sea and he is just pale and shaky and shivery. And I don't understand the appeal. He cannot possibly be that rich. But that's fine. I think that if he had been 5 years, 10 years younger, or perhaps had cleaned up a little first, he would have been a really good fit for the movie. I liked his dynamic with Sophie. I thought that they interacted well, but I just didn't, he looks a mess and he's too old. This was clearly a casting choice for clout, is all I'm saying. Anyway,
all I'm saying.
He looks a hot mess and he looks very pale. And I think, as a professional half white person myself, I can say that is probably
that's fair.
I did really like how and I mentioned before, like, I like how their dynamic is, but specifically like the kinds of things that they say about each other. like, oh, your voice goes up high when you're lying, or
Yeah.
you do this. And I think that's kind of neat because later on you can kind of tell like they're trying to use the same tells for like the murder game, and
Yeah.
it obviously doesn't work in either case, right? uh oh, well, no. So what I'm trying to say about that is that they point out that Jordan's voice goes higher when she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out later she was the killer in their fake game. So
Yes.
she was lying. But then every time that they confront her on something later, her voice never goes up again because she's not lying.
Right, because she's telling the truth. She didn't.
Right. So I mean, I thought that was like, they did some clever things. It's shot really well. Like there's a lot of like, the lighting is fantastic for a movie that's supposed to be mostly in the dark. You can see everything,
Yeah,
but you still
can.
feel like it's in the dark.
Yeah,
Like,
that was really good.
I got to give credit where credit's due, is that it looks great.
Their use of lighting was, and they made it make sense. Like it didn't feel like it was lit for, it didn't feel like it was like lit just out of nowhere. Like all of the lighting makes sense. Like how when the power goes out, they all manage to find flashlights, and then Jordan gets that like headlamp out of Greg's bag because they're like, why does this man have a go bag? Emma or Alice, because I don't remember the difference, the one who had the like glow necklaces on, like that,
Alice,
Alice, like that helps. Like all of the lighting, it was very well lit, but also they made the light sources make sense. Like it worked with, so you could continue to suspend belief. Random thoughts. I was really angry when they're like at the table. This is like before they start playing the game and it's still daylight, and they're at the table and they're talking, and I don't even know where Sophie was, but B is like trying to be part of the group, and she's like eating that chocolate cake, like really heavily enjoying this chocolate cake, and then like 7 gigantic bites in, they're like, oh, there's weed in the cake. I'm like, you just watch this girl, because she's taking like giant hunks of cake, which is fine because I love cake. I would also eat gigantic bites of chocolate cake if I had some. However, how dare you wait until I've eaten like almost a whole thick slice before you're like, oh, there's weed in the cake. And even though knowing like B was trying to be sober because Sophie is sober, what if B's had a bad trip and doesn't want to get high? Like just so I was enraged.
Yeah. They definitely are setting her up. I think it's interesting like how hostile they are to the significant others. Like David is our Pete Davidson, right, is very hostile towards Greg, and probably and then Jordan, but almost all the girls are pretty hostile towards B also. So it's like both sides get like pushback, which I thought was kind of neat for mirroring. Greg, like I don't know how to feel about this guy. Like obviously he's a creep because he's 2 weeks in, he's hooking up with these little drugged out rich girls, and that's weird. But also, he de-escalates the situation. He disengages from the situation. Like he lets the guy whose house he's hanging out in punch him in the face with no repercussions. I thought that was pretty manly of him, right? But then they all come to him screaming about how, Pete Davidson is dead after they find his body.
Yeah. And
he has like 3 reasonable conclusions to go to, right? And one of them being that they're fucked out, they're high, he probably passed out somewhere and they're just misinterpreting the situation.
Yeah.
And the second one is to notice the blood covering Emma. She is spattered in blood. And her dress is white. It's so obvious. And he looks at them and then he's like, oh, this is a prank and you want to wrestle me with knives. I was like, this is the least believable conclusion for you to possibly come to, especially because we're assuming that you've been sobering up for a couple of hours.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think he did the hard drugs because David didn't want to share them. He specifically takes the girlfriend away to go do hard drugs and doesn't let Greg come along. I assume because they're expensive. I don't do hard drugs. I wouldn't know. But he seems to be one of the more sober members of the group, and he's had more time to sober up. So it's just bizarre that that's where he goes with this.
I so you mentioning her being covered in blood, okay? Go back. We're gonna go back to that because so
Okay.
we know that the whole Pete Davidson thing happens. He is dead. They all run outside. And it's raining because it's a hurricane and he's dead and they're freaking out. He's like bleeding from the neck, whatever, whatever. They leave to try to go get in the car, in the Sophie and B's car, right? Batteries there, they can't go. They are all actually covered in blood, right? It's easier to see on her because her outfit is white, right? But where did all the blood come from? And I don't just mean like their clothing, because they're all like touching him, whatever. All of them have blood like dripping down their faces. And I'm like, what? I even rewound and was like, what did I miss? Because if I find a dead body and it's raining outside, I might get blood on my clothes. I might, if I'm touching him, trying to figure out if he's alive, like my hands, whatever, whatever. How is there blood running from, and the podcast can't see me. How is there blood running from their hairlines onto their faces? Where did that come from? Like that.
It's a mystery.
They get in the car and I'm like, there's blood all over her face. And then when they get back to the house, I'm like, there is blood on like most of them, maybe not all of them, but like Jordan and who had the white dress on? Was that Alice? Or the white top? Emma. Jordan, Emma, for sure, had blood like from the hairline down.
Yeah.
I'm like, but all of you were in the house when this man came like smashing into the glass. So like, how would you get it? I don't know. If anyone knows, I was confused.
And neck wounds bleed profusely, right? But it would go in one direction. I don't see how it would.
But also,
I don't understand. If Dexter taught me anything, this is incorrect.
Yes. If Dexter taught us anything, this is incorrect. Plus, then only I think Emma is the one who like gets to him first. Like she's outside, like she approaches from outside while the rest of them are inside. So like maybe it's spurted up on her, but Jordan is in the house. Jordan has to exit to get to him. I just feel like, again, watching as many horror movies and the CSI, the Dexter, all of that, I feel like he would have bled out too fast for Jordan to be covered from literal top of her head to toe. I was confused. I rewound. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, did this get edited out? Did they do something to make this make sense? And then they cut it. I don't know. I was wondering if you would be able to help me figure it out, and you don't know either. That's fine. Okay. That was my like one main question.
I think overall, most of the blood and the dirt, I think they either were consistent with, or they worked in a place where somebody wipes their face or goes to the bathroom or changes their clothes or puts on a headlamp or whatever. And so it kind of makes sense that the blood or the dirt moves around. So I thought that the blood and dirt consistency overall was pretty good once it was on their bodies, but how it got
there is something else.
Yeah. When they throw Sophie out in the rain, not Sophie, when they throw B out in the rain and her useless girlfriend just stands there staring at her, I was like, I kind of hope she is the killer. Like, she was.
Because y'all are terrible.
Because y'all are
trash.
I get that the makeup thing is weird, but also that y'all threw her into a literal hurricane. I did notice. And she gets back in the house through a pet door, which I loved because I noticed earlier this movie did do some clever things with callbacks. Like she's able to break into the car because when they first get there, the car window is down, and they say, "Oh, it's broken. It keeps falling down on its own." So that's how she's able to break into the locked car. She's able to get back into the house through the dog door. And earlier, when she's walking around looking at stuff, her flashlight falls on a pet bed, and so you know that there's a pet. And then she gets into the door. I thought that was very clever. So they do a few clever things throughout it, but and it looks great, but then this is where it just starts getting too talky, too matchy.
It was too talky,
glib.
It was too talky to me. In the whole scene with David, first of all, him with the light mask doing yoga was like, you're an old man, why are you here? But
him and Greg.
Greg, sorry, but Greg, that to me, that conversation went on too long. Like, I don't know. So they're trying to tell him and he doesn't believe them. He thinks it's a prank. And then they attack him. And then they're like surprised that he's fighting back. Like somehow him fighting back and defending himself when they're attacking him with knives is like that's to them that's like, oh, you clearly killed him because you're defending yourself against possibly being stabbed. Like I was like, I hate all of you children. Like, why are you? Yeah, he's gonna fight back. You have a knife. Like, what? I don't have to be a killer to defend my life.
They are all also high at this point and drunk, except Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
So really, this is Sophie's fault because Sophie's the only sober person here at this point. She hasn't started doing stuff yet, I don't think.
But she's super. But we know she's problematic from that hair. That's all I'm gonna say. Because the hair, I was like, I can't. In my notes, I was like, I couldn't tell if her braids were supposed to be like, you know, if your hair, like some Black girls will just plait their actual hair into individual like box braids. You can do. I couldn't tell if they were like box braids that were her real hair or like she had hair added. But why is your hair? Every braid was a different length. But
I felt like I thought it was deliberate. I thought it was deliberate. Like I thought it was meant to be that almost like that, yeah, because that's popular right now. You know, that rough cut, not quite mullet, weird extra layering thing. White girls do it all the time. I figured
it's a white girl
attempting
thing.
To emulate.
It's a white girl thing. Got it. Because I'm like, look. I've never seen this. Oh, but it's a white girl thing, and she's trying to be like her friends. There.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, and it looked. I thought at the beginning when she's clean and styled, it looks like it's supposed to. I wouldn't argue, you know, whether or not it looks good, but that is the style I feel that it is meant to look like. Okay. And it's just that when she gets wet and dirty, it really fucks up her hair. It really looks. You should have run indoors when it started raining with the hurricane party girl, but so it really fucks up her hair as opposed to like everybody else just looking kind of damp.
Yeah.
What else? Yes. So I had a feeling about when we find Emma's body and she is falling down the stairs that I was like, I bet there's no, but I thought that Pete Davidson and this Mystery Max were going to be in on some kind of weird prank and that this was somehow going to be a prank.
Okay.
And then all the girls were going to Lord of the Flies each other. And then it was going to be a thing at the end. So I was like,
you were half right.
Right.
You were,
I was like
you were 60% right.
60%.
Because they definitely Lord of the Flies to each other.
Yeah. But right then, because I remembered Sophie giving her the pills, and I was like, But Sophie giving her the pills, then she would have OD'd. She would have fallen down the stairs. Giving her pills to push her downstairs later doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, and nobody else would know that she's drugged in order to kill her that way. If they snuck up on her and stabbed her in bed, I'd be like, okay, it could have been anybody. But the fact that they she was pushed, I was like, she could have just been drugged and drug fell down the stairs. And so I was like, from this point on, I guess, you know, because before I definitely didn't think Greg did it because it would have been a very short movie, but basically, but there was still the possibility that it was Max or that it was, you know, some mystery killer or whatever, or, you know, one of them was actually really crazy. And then when that happened, I was like, no, this is a big old misunderstanding. And it sure was.
I didn't put together that it was a misunderstanding until they told us, and then I was like, this twist is top tier.
It was the dumb twist, though.
It was. I loved it though, but I loved it though. It was the cherry on top of I hate these kids, and so it was just for me it was like, thank you, I needed that.
I found it weird. Like, I didn't like his phone being out in the mud or during a hurricane, and it's also just there and still working and perfect. That was weird to me. I did love using his dead face to unlock the phone, though. I thought that was great.
Yeah, she had to pull his eyes
open, waves the phone around, and then it unlocks. I was like, ooh, chills. I actually got chills.
I mean,
yeah, it's just, I feel like a lot of the dialogue just really bogged this movie down. Like, they had cut some of the dialogue in the kitchen when the girls are all screaming at each other, and it's all the like, he's a Libra moon, and you're silencing me, and it was too much. It was like, you can't give me this scene plus the weird Greg long monologue talking scene, plus the long conversation where Alice gets shot. Like, there's just too many long conversations. Some of those
Yeah.
conversations had to be shorter.
Yeah. They are I don't know. I I don't know. I guess see, knowing it was A24, expecting it to be like not necessarily, but like on it's artsy on some level, right? Hereditary, Midsummer, top two favorite horror movies, A24, but are also on some level kind of artsy, right? Not as artsy as like Mother, for God's sake, but it's still, it's a little there. So I like to me, the conversations just, I don't know, I just rolled them into, well, that's A24. And then I don't even think about it after that. Like I don't try to make their decisions make sense. It took a long time to even accept.
And there were some really, yeah, and there were funny moments. There were funny, like there was like, oh, you gotta out of me. But in general, they were just bogged down. It was just too much quick fire. There's no time for jokes to land. There's no like, and every line is treated as a banger, and every line is not a banger.
No, every line's not a banger.
The text thing made sense where B and Sophie start fighting over this phone, because to B, this is everything. Like, if you lied to me and cheated on me with this person, then obviously you're the killer, bad person, whatever. Like, I'm going to conflate all of these things when we know that it's just Sophie's a piece of shit, right? Like,
yeah.
she's a shitty human being. She's shitty, rich, entitled kid, and she's just a bad person. There's nothing to be done with that. But what I found strange about it is that cinematically, they proved her infidelity with the underwear. And so all of the stuff about the texts and stuff was like super unnecessary. And it was a good foreshadowing when she picks up the bra and Jordan's like, he's not hiding in my bra. And then she puts it back. And then it's that bright yellow lace. And then later when she's stuck in the car, it's like, why does she have to go to the car? Like, I agree, I would go to the car. But if she was just going to try to go back in the house, why would she go to the car? Well, she needed to go to the car to find the matching underwear. Right. So she could feel like, oh, my girlfriend did cheat. But then you never bring it up. It becomes completely centered on the texts. She's like, text, check Sophie's phone. You'll see that she, texted me to hook up or whatever. And I don't know. I found all of that very strange because we already kind of were proved it with the underwear. B never brings up the underwear.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a long period of time where Sophie is looking for B. She's wandering the house.
Yeah.
Right? Why would she not take this opportunity to stop, open her phone, delete the incriminating text?
True.
And then give it to Sophie.
True. Because
even by the very end, they're rolling around the ground, wrestling to try to keep B from reading his text. Mm-hmm. So you have had time at this point to get rid of your evidence. There's no reason for you to still be having this wrestling match over this phone. I don't know. I found that a little bit. I think that's. I think those are people who don't quite understand how Zennials use phones.
Yeah.
Right. So, and also, that also plays into the weird trope that I have where finding underwear after you cheat, which I never understand, because how do you not know that you were wearing underwear?
Right.
Like, how do you leave?
You got dressed and
sans underwear.
Well, it's supposed to be like, oh, I was in a hurry and I couldn't find them. Like, I couldn't find my underwear. So I just put my pants on anyway. I wouldn't. I would just keep looking. I would just keep looking. Like, I can't.
And I get it when it's on purpose. If you're like, oh, I'm leaving the underwear so that you could get caught. But then Jordan would have said, I left my underwear. You can find my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody
find some underwear?
Yeah, nobody accidentally leaves their panties places unless you were in like a hotel room with a suitcase full of panties and one falls out. Like, then you could lose one pair of panties. I'll give it to you. Maybe you didn't inventory before you left. But you can't, if you are wearing a set of clothes and you leave missing a piece of this clothing, if you're not wearing 3 shirts, you are gonna notice. Only wearing 1 pair of underwear. I don't know. I just find that bizarre when it happens in movies. couldn't be me. I keep track of my underwear, actually.
I don't know how many pairs I have, but if I remove them, I remember that I've removed them. and will
Yes.
want to put them back on before pants. Like that's just, I'm not a commando kind of girl. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So that's
Bodies.
what happened.
I know.
That's Bodies.
Should we spoil the twist for
Yeah.
just in case people like didn't see the movie and
Oh
don't care about
yeah.
spoilers?
Yeah.
So
Of course.
it turns out, so after B and Sophie like fight over Sophie's phone and they lose it, they find a phone. Turns out that it's David's. I almost said Greg. David's, Pete Davidson's character. It's his phone. That's when B like opens up his dead eyes and uses the Face ID to unlock the phone. They find a video. He was recording himself. Because earlier in the movie, right, Greg uses the machete to like cut off the top of a champagne bottle, and it looks so cool and so badass. And like David's been jealous of Greg this whole time. So it's a video of him trying to do the same thing. He's trying to slice off the like open a champagne bottle outdoors, like I guess it's not raining, so like before the hurricane, but it's dark, it's nighttime. He tries to get off this bottle top. This moron at some point, because he can't slice away from himself to get it off, thinks, let me bring it to me. So he's like using the machete to try to cut the top off, but bringing it towards himself, and he hacks himself in the neck. And I was so weak. I was so weak and happy that like, this idiot, stupid, rich, spoiled, not prepared for life moron. He's like 20 some years old. Did not think that bringing a machete at your face with force. Anyway, and that's how he died. There was never a killer. There was never a killer.
I was bothered by this whole denouement. I think it's fine. I liked it being an accident, a stupid, drunken, high accident. I thought it was great for the story. But the way that they discover it, like I said before, with the phone, finding the phone, and then, okay, you're wrestling over Sophie's phone. You accidentally pick up Pete Davidson's phone. Yeah. So what is going through B's head where she goes, you know what? Checking your texts is not important. I need to see what's on this dead guy's phone. What would make you think that unlocking his phone was going to do literally anything? But the script said you had to, so you did it. And then there was a video. But why would you open it up to check for a video just in case the murder was on? Why would you think that?
Why would you think that?
And if they had found it on the tripod, because it was clearly on a tripod when he's filming it, I would have been like, oh, because then they would have been like, oh, he was filming something. Let's take a look. You know what I mean? It would have been very natural, but no, they just find a phone covered in mud. So it doesn't make any sense for them to check it. Mm-hmm. And then in the video, as you mentioned, you pointed out the inconsistency because you noticed it. It's not raining. The storm hasn't hit.
Right.
It's because why would he be outside filming a TikTok if it was raining? So they couldn't put the rain in, except that when they find him, it's already been raining and he's covered in rain, and he would not have been just wandering around the same spot covered in blood for minutes waiting for the rain to fall. So it just
the way he cut that jugular.
It's got a huge inconsistency with how the video is shot, how they find out the video was shot, and then how they actually found his body. Like none of these things lined up in proper order if you look at what they have. So it just, that really bothered me that you wanted to do that. And then obviously they wanted to do the cell phone thing because her final line is, I have reception. Get it? They're so online. These Zennials. Like it was dumb. I get it. You're so cool. But by the end it was like bah, bah, bah.
I enjoyed the twist.
I'd be like, oh, this is kind of a fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed how David died. I didn't enjoy the rest. I mean, like the ending. I could have lived without and Max. I had forgotten about Max by the time he walked up. I was like, where did he even come from? I don't care about this man.
I don't understand why we needed a 35-year-old comedian to show which 20-year-old was your girlfriend, man? Which one was yours? Because I could have used literally anybody their age for that one line cameo. Anyway, that's bodies.
That's
Bodies
it, yeah.
times 3, triple bodies.
Bodies cubed,
Bodies,
maybe.
cubed. Yeah. Yes. Oh, by the
Yeah.
time you listen to this, then we will have our May episodes, bonus episodes up. I'm a little behind because it's Golden Week, so I'm technically on vacation right now.
Oh.
But to make up for it, this month we will have 2 bonus episodes on our Patreon. We will have Rear Window and we will have Death Proof. So if you want to
Ooh.
hear those extra special episodes, just sign up for our Patreon, $4 a month, and you get all kinds of cool bonus stuff.
Right? Go listen to Death Proof. It's like, well, one, join Patreon and then go listen to Death Proof because it's like one of my favorite movies ever. And feel free to complain about Tarantino. I'm fine. All right. Until next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.